Story 2 of The Bet and Other Stories by Anton Chekhov. This recording is in the public domain. Story 2, A Tedious Story from an Old Man's Journal, Part 5. There sometimes come fearful nights with thunder, lightning, rain, and wind, which the peasants call sparrow nights. There was one such sparrow night in my own personal life. I wake after midnight and suddenly leap out of bed. Somehow it seems to me that I am going to die immediately. I do not know why, for there is no single sensation in my body which points to a quick end, but a terror presses on my soul as though I had suddenly seen a huge, ill-boding fire in the sky. I light the lamp quickly and drink some water straight out of the decanter. Then I hurry to the window. The weather is magnificent, the air smells of hay and some delicious thing besides. I see the spikes of my garden fence, the sleepy, starveling trees by the window, the road, the dark strip of forest. There is a calm and brilliant moon in the sky, and not a single cloud. Serenity. Not a leaf stirs. To me it seems that everything is looking at me and listening for me to die. Dread seizes me. I shut the window and run to the bed. I feel for my pulse. I cannot find it in my wrist. I seek it in my temples, my chin, my hand again. They are all cold and slippery with sweat. My breathing comes quicker and quicker, my body trembles, all my bowels are stirred, and my face and forehead feel as though a cobweb had settled on them. What shall I do? Shall I call my family? No use. I do not know what my wife and Liza will do when they come in to me. I hide my head under the pillow, shut my eyes, and wait. My spine is cold. It almost contracts within me, and I feel that death will approach me only from behind, very quietly. Kivi, kivi! A squeak sounds in the stillness of the night. I do not know whether it is in my heart or in the street. God, how awful! I would drink some more water, but now I dread opening my eyes and fear to raise my head. The terror is unaccountable, animal. I cannot understand why I am afraid. Is it because I want to live, or because a new and unknown pain awaits me? Upstairs, above the ceiling, a moan, then a laugh. I listen. A little after, steps sound on the staircase. Some one hurries down, then up again. In a minute steps sound downstairs again. Some one stops by my door and listens. "Who's there?" I call. The door opens. I open my eyes boldly and see my wife. Her face is pale and her eyes red with weeping. "You're not asleep, Nicolai Stiepanovich," she says. "What is it?" "For God's sake, go down to Liza. Something is wrong with her." "Very well, with pleasure," I murmur, very glad that I am not alone. "Very well, immediately." As I follow my wife, I hear what she tells me, and from agitation understand not a word. Bright spots from her candle dance over the steps of the stairs. Our long shadows tremble. My feet catch in the skirts of my dressing gown. My breath goes, and it seems to me that someone is chasing me, trying to seize my back. I shall die here on the staircase this second, I think, this second. But we have passed the staircase, the dark hall with the Italian window, and we go into Liza's room. She sits in bed in her chemise, her bare legs hang down, and she moans. "Oh, my God! Oh, my God!" she murmurs, half shutting her eyes from her candles. "I can't! I can't!" "Liza, my child," I say, "what's the matter?" Seeing me, she calls out and falls on my neck. "Papa, darling," she sobs. "Papa, dearest, my sweet, I don't know what it is. It hurts." She embraces me, kisses me, and lisps endearments which I heard her lisp when she was still a baby. "Be calm, my child. God's with you," I say. "You mustn't cry. Something hurts me, too." I try to cover her with the bedclothes. My wife gives her to drink, and both of us jostle in confusion round the bed. My shoulders push into hers, and at that moment I remember how we used to bathe our children. "But help her, help her!" my wife implores. "Do something!" And what can I do? Nothing. There is some weight on the girl's soul, but I understand nothing, know nothing, and can only murmur, "It's nothing, nothing. It will pass. Sleep, sleep." As if on purpose, a dog suddenly howls in the yard, at first low and irresolute, then loud, in two voices. I never put any value on such signs as dogs whining or screeching owls, but now my heart contracts painfully, and I hasten to explain the howling. "Nonsense, I think. It's the influence of one organism on another. My great nervous strain was transmitted to my wife, to Liza, and to the dog. That's all. Such transmissions explain presentiments and previsions." A little later, when I return to my room to write a prescription for Liza, I no longer think that I shall die soon. My soul simply feels heavy and dull, so that I am even sad that I did not die suddenly. For a long while I stand motionless in the middle of the room, pondering what I shall prescribe for Liza, but the moans above the ceiling are silent, and I decide not to write a prescription, but stand there still. There is a dead silence, a silence, as one man wrote, that rings in one's ears. The time goes slowly. The bars of moonlight on the window sill do not move from their place, as though congealed. The dawn is still far away. But the garden gate creaks. Some one steals in, and strips a twig from the starveling trees, and cautiously knocks with it on my window. "Nicolai Stiepanovich," I hear a whisper. "Nicolai Stiepanovich." I open the window, and I think that I am dreaming. Under the window, close against the wall, stands a woman in a blade dress. She is brightly lighted by the moon, and looks at me with wide eyes. Her face is pale, stern and fantastic in the moon, like marble. Her chin trembles. "It is I," she says, "I, Katy." In the moon all women's eyes are big and black, people are taller and paler. Probably that is the reason why I did not recognize her in the first moment. "What's the matter?" "Forgive me," she says. "I suddenly felt so dreary I could not bear it. So I came here. There's a light in your window, and I decided to knock. Forgive me. Ah, if you knew how dreary I felt. What are you doing now?" "Nothing. Insomnia." Her eyebrows lift, her eyes shine with tears, and all her face is illumined as with light, with the familiar but long unseen look of confidence. "Nicolai Stiepanovich," she says imploringly, stretching out both her hands to me. "Dear, I beg you, I implore, if you do not despise my friendship and my respect for you, then do what I implore you." "What is it?" "Take my money." "What next? What's the good of your money to me?" "You will go somewhere to be cured. You must cure yourself. You will take it. Yes, dear, yes." She looks into my face eagerly and repeats, "Yes, you will take it." "No, my dear, I won't take it. I say, thank you." She turns her back to me and lowers her head. Probably the tone of my refusal would not allow any further talk of money. "Go home to sleep," I say. "I'll see you to morrow." "It means you don't consider me your friend?" she asks sadly. "I don't say that. But your money is no good to me." "Forgive me," she says, lowering her voice by a full octave. "I understand you. To be obliged to a person like me, a retired actress. But good bye." And she walks away so quickly that I have no time even to say good bye. VI. I am in Kharkov. Since it would be useless to fight against my present mood, and I have no power to do it, I made up my mind that the last days of my life shall be irreproachable, on the formal side. If I am not right with my family, which I certainly admit, I will try at least to do as it wishes. Besides, I am lately become so indifferent that it's positively all the same to me whether I go to Kharkov or Paris or Berdyshev. I arrived here at noon, and put up at a hotel not far from the cathedral. The train made me giddy, the draughts blew through me, and now I am sitting on the bed with my head in my hands, waiting for the tick. I ought to go to my professor friends to day, but I have neither the will nor the strength. The old hall porter comes in to ask whether I have brought my own bedclothes. I keep him about 5 minutes, asking him questions about Necker, on whose account I came here. The porter happens to be Kharkov born, and knows the town inside out, but he doesn't remember any family with the name of Necker. I inquire about the estate. The answer is the same. The clock in the passage strikes 1, 2, 3. The last months of my life, while I wait for death, seems to me far longer than my whole life. Never before could I reconcile myself to the slowness of time as I can now. Before, when I had to wait for a train at the station, or to sit at an examination, a quarter of an hour would seem an eternity. Now I can sit motionless in bed the whole night long, quite calmly thinking that there will be the same long, colourless night to morrow, and the next day. In the passage the clock strikes 5, 6, 7. It grows dark. There is dull pain in my cheek, the beginning of the tick. To occupy myself with thoughts, I return to my old point of view when I was not indifferent, and ask, why do I, a famous man, a privy councillor, sit in this little room, on this bed with a strange grey blanket? Why do I look at this cheap tin washstand and listen to the wretched clock jarring in the passage? Is all this worthy of my fame and my high position among people? And I answer these questions with a smile. My naïveté seems funny to me, the naïveté with which as a young man I exaggerated the value of fame and of the exclusive position which famous men enjoy. I am famous, my name is spoken with reverence, my portrait has appeared in Niva and in the Universal Illustration. I've even read my biography in a German paper, but what of that? I sit lonely, by myself, in a strange city, on a strange bed, rubbing my aching cheek with my palm. Family scandals, the hardness of creditors, the rudeness of railway men, the discomforts of the passport system, the expensive and unwholesome food at the buffets, the general coarseness and roughness of people, all this and a great deal more that would take too long to put down, concerns me as much as it concerns any bourgeois who is known only in his own little street. Where is the exclusiveness of my position, then? We will admit that I am infinitely famous, that I am a hero of whom my country is proud. All the newspapers give bulletins of my illness, the post is already bringing in sympathetic addresses from my friends, my pupils, and the public. But all this will not save me from dying in anguish on a stranger's bed in utter loneliness. Of course there is no one to blame for this, but I must confess that I do not like my popularity. I feel that it has deceived me. At about 10 I fall asleep, and in spite of the tick sleep soundly, and would sleep for a long while were I not awakened. Just after 1 there is a sudden knock on my door. "Who's there?" "A telegram." "You could have brought it in to morrow," I storm as I take the telegram from the porter. "Now I shan't sleep again." "I'm sorry. There was a light in your room. I thought you were not asleep." I open the telegram and look first at the signature, my wife's. What does she want? "Necker married Liza secretly yesterday. Return." I read the telegram. For a long while I am not startled. Not Necker's nor Liza's action frightens me, but the indifference with which I receive the news of their marriage. Men say that philosophers and true savants are indifferent. It is untrue. Indifference is the paralysis of the soul, premature death. I go to bed again, and begin to ponder with what thoughts I can occupy myself. What on earth shall I think of? I seem to have thought over everything, and now there is nothing powerful enough to rouse my thought. When the day begins to dawn, I sit in bed clasping my knees, and for want of occupation I try to know myself. Know yourself is good, useful advice, but it is a pity that the ancients did not think of showing us the way to avail ourselves of it. Before, when I had the desire to understand somebody else, or myself, I used not to take into consideration actions wherein everything is conditional, but desires. Tell me what you want, and I will tell you what you are. And now I examine myself. What do I want? I want our wives, children, friends, and pupils to love in us, not the name or the firm or the label, but the ordinary human beings. What besides? I should like to have assistants and successors. What more? I should like to wake in 100 years' time and take a look, if only with one eye, at what has happened to science. I should like to live 10 years more. What further? Nothing further. I think a long while, and cannot make out anything else. However much I were to think, wherever my thoughts should stray, it is clear to me that the chief, all-important something is lacking in my desires, in my infatuation for science, my desire to live, my sitting here on a strange bed, my yearning to know myself, in all the thoughts, feelings, and ideas I form about anything, there is wanting the something universal which could bind all these together in one whole. Each feeling and thought lives detached in me, and in all my opinions about science, the theatre, literature, and my pupils, and in all the little pictures which my imagination paints, not even the most cunning analyst will discover what is called the general idea, or the God of the living man. And if this is not there, then nothing is there. In poverty such as this, a serious infirmity, fear of death, influence of circumstances and people would have been enough to overthrow and shatter all that I formerly considered as my conception of the world, and all wherein I saw the meaning and joy of my life. Therefore it is nothing strange that I have darkened the last months of my life by thoughts and feelings worthy of a slave or a savage, and that I am now indifferent and do not notice the dawn. If there is lacking in a man that which is higher and stronger than all outside influences, then verily a good cold in the head is enough to upset his balance and to make him see each bird an owl and hear a dog's whine in every sound. And all this pessimism, or his optimism, with their attendant thoughts, great and small, seem then to be merely symptoms and no more. I am beaten. Then it is no good going on thinking, no good talking. I shall sit and wait in silence for what will come. In the morning the porter brings me tea and the local paper. Mechanically I read the advertisements on the first page, the leader, the extracts from newspapers and magazines, the local news. Among other things, I find in the local news an item like this: "Our famous scholar, Emeritus Professor Nikolai Stepyanovich, arrived in Kharkov yesterday by the express and stayed at Hotel." Evidently big names are created to live detached from those who bear them. Now my name walks in Kharkov undisturbed. In some 3 months it will shine as bright as the sun itself, inscribed in letters of gold on my tombstone, at a time when I myself will be under the sod. A faint knock at the door. Somebody wants me. "Who's there? Come in." The door opens. I step back in astonishment and hasten to pull my dressing gown together. Before me stands Katy. "How do you do?" she says, panting from running up the stairs. "You didn't expect me? I've come too." She sits down and continues stammering and looking away from me. "Why don't you say good morning? I arrived too, to day. I found out you were at this hotel and came to see you." "I'm delighted to see you," I say, shrugging my shoulders, "but I'm surprised. You might have dropped straight from heaven. What are you doing here?" I just came." Silence. Suddenly she gets up impetuously and comes over to me. "Nicolai Stiepanovich," she says, growing pale and pressing her hands to her breast, "Nicolai Stiepanovich, I can't go on like this any longer. I can't. For God's sake, tell me now, immediately. What shall I do? Tell me, what shall I do?" What can I say? I am beaten. I can say nothing. "But tell me, I implore you," she continues, out of breath and trembling all over her body. "I swear to you I can't go on like this any longer. I haven't the strength." She drops into a chair and begins to sob. She throws her head back, wrings her hands, stamps with her feet. Her hat falls from her head and dangles by its string. Her hair is loosened. "Help me, help!" she implores. "I can't bear it any more." She takes a handkerchief out of her little travelling bag, and with it pulls out some letters which fall from her knees to the floor. I pick them up from the floor and recognise on one of them Mikhail Fiodorovitch's handwriting, and accidentally read part of a word. "Passionate." "There's nothing that I can say to you, Katy," I say. "Help me," she sobs, seizing my hand and kissing it. "You're my father, my only friend. You're wise and learned, and you've lived long. You were a teacher. Tell me what to do." I am bewildered and surprised, stirred by her sobbing, and I can hardly stand upright. "Let's have some breakfast, Katy," I say with a constrained smile. Instantly I add in a sinking voice, "I shall be dead soon, Katy." "Only one word, only one word!" She weeps and stretches out her hands to me. "What shall I do?" "You're a queer thing, really," I murmur. "I can't understand it. Such a clever woman and suddenly weeping." Comes silence. Katy arranges her hair, puts on her hat, then crumples her letters and stuffs them in her little bag, all in silence and unhurried. Her face, her bosom, and her gloves are wet with tears, but her expression is dry, already stern. I look at her and am ashamed that I am happier than she. It was but a little while before my death, in the ebb of my life, that I noticed in myself the absence of what our friends the philosophers call the general idea. But this poor thing's soul has never known and never will know shelter all her life. All her life. "Katy, let's have breakfast," I say. "No, thank you," she answers coldly. 1 minute more passes in silence. "I don't like Kharkov," I say. "It's too grey. A grey city." "Yes, ugly. I'm not here for long. On my way. I leave to day." "For where?" "For the Crimea. I mean the Caucasus." "So? For long?" "I don't know." Katy gets up and gives me her hand with a cold smile, looking away from me. I would like to ask her, "That means you won't be at my funeral?" But she does not look at me. Her hand is cold and like a stranger's. I escort her to the door in silence. She goes out of my room and walks down the long passage without looking back. She knows that my eyes are following her, and probably on the landing she will look back. No, she did not look back. The black dress showed for the last time. Her steps were stilled. Good bye, my treasure. End of Story 2